Take your seats, please. Mr. Camera, that means you too. Thank you so much. we have 1 minute and we are going to start on time. All right, well, welcome everybody. This is a super good group. Hey, Braden, how are you? Really good group. Thank you for joining the class on leadership and management. Specifically, we're going to be going all the way back to the basics. We're going to be covering effective delegation, effective being the key word. We're going to be covering self-leadership. We're going to be covering effective meetings and accountability, that scary word accountability. But I think everybody here in the room knows me. I'm Kris Ringrose, EVP of Mortgage Ops. That's a fancy title for really anything around the widget is within my realm, and really anything you need is my job to get it handled. So that's me. All right. Now, some of you may be thinking, what is an operations person doing teaching a class at a sales retreat? I asked that myself, Mr. Derek. Yes, I did. I asked myself that on the presenter's call because leadership and management are universal. It doesn't matter what role you're in. If you're a leader and you're a manager, hey, Kirk, welcome. Okay, you're right on time. It's 9:20. I can't bust you. Leadership and management tactics are universal. So that is why you have me for today. And I do have a lot of different departments, a lot of different people. I have some of my great people here, and they can tell you that, yes, I can effectively delegate and hold them accountable. Again, the tactics we're going to cover today, if you develop them, the whole purpose of this class is they should make you more effective if you practice them, okay? With less stress, enjoy your day more. That's the whole goal, all right? Who doesn't want that? So again, today we're going to get down to basics. I thought a lot about who the audience would be, and you guys kind of screwed me up here because I have some managers in here as well. But I think a lot of you are loan officers, really great salespeople, and maybe some of you don't have a lot of management experience, right? So what we did as a company is we said, hey, great salesperson, hire a team, but we didn't necessarily give you the management skills. So we're going to go ahead and do that today. I also thought a lot about my interactions and observations over the years that I had with a lot of you, because I've been out to a lot of your branches and I know a lot of you pretty well. And I really developed this course based on some of those observations. And I really thought, let's get back to the very basics. We can always use a refresher course in that. And so we are going to go there. Housekeeping item. I'm happy to send you a copy of this PowerPoint if you email me. And here's a tip. You might want to use this. You could use this maybe as a lunch and learn. Some of your realtors might be able to benefit from some of the content. And so it'll be editable, so slice and dice it if you want to. All right. Agenda. Today, we're going to talk about how to run an effective meeting. Watch how I run this class because I'm really running it like a meeting, okay? Then we're going to spend most of our time on delegation because this is where I see the most win for you. Hello, welcome to the class. Please take a seat. Then we're going to spend some time on accountability, and then we're going to talk about self-leadership, and we have a couple of role-play activities, and we have some table work that we're going to do. So stick with me. Your goal for today, walk away with at least 3 tips or tactics. I see in your book, I think on page 125 or something, you can write your tips or tactics. 51, thank you, 51, that you're going to deploy in your daily life. Again, the whole purpose of this, we want to reduce your stress, make you more successful, and have you enjoy your daily life more, okay? That's a lofty, lofty goal for today, and I want you to keep that in mind because, spoiler alert, at the end of the class, we may be going back to this goal, and there may be table work around it, and I want you to be successful. So think about those 3 tips and tactics, okay? Ground rules. Let's cover some ground rules. These are my non-negotiable expectations for today's class. Non-negotiable. First one's a really hard one. I'm looking you dead in your eyes, everybody. Turn your cell phones off. I don't even want them on vibrate. I want them in airplane mode. In your purse or in your pocket. We're like Pavlov's dog. We hear the little bzzz and we think we're super important. This next hour and 10 minutes is the most important thing that you are doing right now, okay? So if I see you on your phones, I'm going to ask you to leave, okay? So right now, again, this is the most important thing you're doing. You committed to this class, be all in. When listening, assume you're going to learn, okay? Even if you think you already know the content, okay? We have our CEO in the room, okay? This is great, but I'm sure and I hope that he's going to listen and learn. Even if you already know the content, all right? It's hard for most of us, especially myself. I hired an executive coach because I'm one of those people who's always me first, right? I know, me, look at me go. I'm a lot of times waiting to speak rather than actively listening, and I paid this coach a lot of my own money to help me with this, so I know we struggle with this. And when thinking, hopefully you're all going to be thinking today, I want you to wonder how you can apply this content to yourself and your team. That's the whole point, right? Think about how this applies to you and your life and your team. And participate in the table work, okay? You will be called on. So participate in your table work and assume you can learn or teach. I'm sure Todd will be able to learn and teach, and a lot of you will be able to. In all of our interactions, we're learning and teaching, right? And then feel free to ask questions as we go along. Hands up if you agree to all of these rules, including the first one. Everybody agree? Okay, I didn't. All right, excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, let's get to it. We're going to start. We're going to get the most boring part out of the way first, but it's very important. 6 habits of highly effective meetings. Seem basic? I can tell you I personally stumble on doing this consistently. Sometimes I'm really good at it, and other times I suck at it. I've also attended many of your branch pipeline meetings. I've sat in on a lot of the LOT meetings, especially as a part of Superman, 9 different LO teams, and I know for sure we can all be more effective in our meetings. All right? First habit, always have an agenda. Always have an agenda. Why? Vague intentions, rarely productive. You just go into a meeting, you ever sit there for an hour and a half and it's all talky, no doey? Lots of talking, nothing really happens, very annoying. When you're in a meeting, you can't be doing anything else. So you want to make sure you stick to an agenda. Today's class has an agenda, right? We're going to stick to it. Tactic. Some of you hold regularly scheduled meetings. Make sure you have a template for those. Now, I didn't call any of you in this room. All right, oucha. But I called around to ask randomly some of our loan officers, hey, do me a favor, because I wanted to make it pertinent to you. Send me some of your meeting templates. Not one person has a template. And what that template, it is true, Dave Cameron, I see your eyes really big. The meeting templates keep you focused, they make you more productive, but they also save you time, because if your teammates know what the agenda always is, they come prepared, right? So you can get through stuff pretty quickly, makes everybody more successful. Super easy. Mr. Cameron. So Dave Cameron says the daily team meeting is called the Daily Big Rocks Forum. Everybody should be using it, yet when I called, I did not receive that. So there's something you can do out the gate. Second habit, highly effective meetings. Review the attendee list. Okay, you ever have a meeting and the right person, the decision maker, isn't in the room? So I'll tell you, I've, again, attended some pipeline meetings. It's a pipeline meeting, and where's the loan officer? I don't know, but they're not in that meeting. That is a problem. It's their pipeline. They should be in their pipeline meetings. I've also been to branch meetings, the once-a-month branch meeting, no branch manager. What's that? Okay, guys, have the right people. Have the right people in the room, especially when it revolves decision-making. And that's why it's so important to have that agenda. You know what you need to do. Make sure the right people are there, and don't have too many people because it can get a little chaotic, all right? So make sure you have the right people. Third habit, manage by the clock. Very, very important, okay? Why? Really easy to become careless and unfocused. So this is the all talky, no doey thing. We all like to hear ourselves speak. We all have great ideas. Todd, I don't know if you remember this, but when I first started at Summit in our old office, we'd have these meetings and we'd have a half an hour meeting. There'd be 20 people in it and everybody wants a turn to talk. That is less than, a minute and a half a person. That's a problem. So I bought little hourglass timers and I used to turn them over. Pretty obnoxious, I know, but very important. So for effect on the importance of managing your time, who knows how many business days till the end of 2018? 231. So you guys, think about this. We're in January. You have 231 business days in this entire year to get all of your goals done. Time is an asset, right? It's an asset. Treat it as such, okay? Sales doesn't stop on the weekends, Derek says. You're right. Sales doesn't stop on the weekends. All right. Fourth habit, 4th out of 6. Use the parking lot habit to manage off-topic discussions. This is a great, great tactic. In most every meeting, we're all human beings. Stuff comes up. It's not on the agenda. You want to give honor and respect to the person who brought it up, and it may be a great idea, but it's not on your agenda. You're going to park it, okay? Also, think about this. So this is how it can apply to you. You're in your pipeline meeting. You're discussing a loan that's off timelines. Your loan manager says, yes, but our branch process or the mothership process is broken, and because blah, 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 and I know how to fix it. You don't want to lose that thought. You can't fix it. It's not the time to solve it. You're going to park it, and you're going to come back to it later, okay? But you have to use the follow-up habit with your parking lot, and we'll cover that. It's another tactic. All right. 5th, take notes for yourselves. Why? You need to record any questions, assignments that you've delegated or that you've taken on, okay? And all of this folds itself into leadership. If you don't know what you've committed to or what you've delegated out, how can you keep your commitments and how can you hold people accountable to their commitments? You have to take notes, a best practice. Use the agenda to take notes. That's a really good way to do it. And send the meeting minutes after every single meeting, like right afterwards. That's when your context is the best. And yes, you can delegate the note-taking, by the way. Okay? You can delegate, and we'll talk about how to effectively delegate, but you can delegate the note-taking. You don't have to do it. Make sure somebody does it. All right, here's that follow-up tactic. This is the last of the 6 habits. Why do you want to follow up? This is the same reason why Todd discussed it the other day. When you do your CCI, your cash credit income, you meet with your borrower. Why you want to get all of that information either in the system or on however you're taking those notes right away, right after that meeting. Your context is the best. You remember the best. If you don't take notes today, off you go. You wait to get back to your branch tomorrow. You're not going to remember any of this stuff. That's why you want to write down at least 3 of the most important tactics, all right? And having a bulletproof follow-up system keeps, again, everybody in line. You can't be a good leader if you don't know what you committed to. You can't be a good leader if you don't know what you delegated. So you have to have a follow-up system. Now, another thing I did, I called around and I asked people for what their follow-up system is. I called branches. They don't necessarily, or at least the loan officers I called, didn't have a robust, consistent follow-up system. I suggest you network with each other after the class is over and figure out how people track their follow-up. I have what's called a task tracker. I have a lot of different departments and a lot of different people. It's a spreadsheet and tabs. I think mine's a little too complex. You guys need a simple follow-up system, so I suggest you mark it with each other and figure out how to do that. Okay, how easy was that? Easy? Anybody learn anything? One thing you learned. Yes, you. Excellent. Yes, take notes while you're doing it. And Derek, what did you learn? Yes, manage by the clock. It is an important one. Excellent. Okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Are we ready to learn how to effectively delegate? This is the important part, the key being effectively, right? Okay, first of all, let's talk about why do we delegate. Saves you time, saves all of you time, right? Keeps you focused on your highest and best use. It also, and this is a tough one, uses the best people for the task. I hate to break it to you. You are not the best person for every task. You don't, yes, contrary to your belief, you're not the best. Now, this is a super tough one for me to master because I thought I could do everything better, faster. Look, Annette is, yes, she is calling me out right now. Kind of sucks when you learn that other people do stuff way better than you do, but it's also really freeing, right? It frees you up to get a lot more enjoyment in your life to focus on what your highest and best use is, all right? And as the leader, you want to develop your people. It's incumbent upon you to develop your people. They have more motivation, more innovation. It also, most importantly, when you delegate to your team member, it shows them that they're trusted and valued. If you don't delegate to them, it's saying, you kind of suck. You're just here I'm going to give you the dregs of whatever it is that I hate to do. No. You trust them, you value them, and it's your job to develop them as a leader. Okay. What are all of the excuses? Excuses, mental roadblocks to delegation. Again, this is the Ringrose. I can do it better, faster, right? Or God forbid, they won't get it done on time. Well, the reason they won't get it done on time is because you probably didn't effectively delegate to them and have a follow-up system. We'll talk about that. God forbid they might make a mistake. Guys, people are allowed to make mistakes. It's your job to coach them. Don't not delegate to somebody because they're not going to be perfect, okay? This is an interesting one, and I see this. Many managers want to remain comfortable making the same decisions they've always made. This is about you, right? Hey, I'm really good at this. It's easy. I'm going to stay in this rut and keep making the same decisions because I'm really good at it. No, your job is to teach your teammates to make those decisions, okay? Control, this was a big one for me as well. Control of a situation or outcome. I'm a recovering control freak, so I'll never forget, I think it was maybe 2 years after I started, Todd was getting me to hire attempting, it took him a couple of years, attempting to get me to hire an executive assistant, right? I fought him for 4 years. Then finally the ultimatum came, you're getting one, and I freaked out. They're doing your email. Oh my God. Now I have to tell you, without Tracy, I don't even think I know my name. I wouldn't know where to show up. I wouldn't know what to do. So it's very, very freeing. I'm not needed. All of these crazy mental roadblocks to delegation. And this one was interesting. Jana brought this one up. This is Jana, is that in our jobs as leaders and managers, we don't always get that, she calls it a dopamine bump from checking something, a tangible something we're checking off a list. Like as an underwriter, here's a loan, you underwrote it and it's done. Yay me, I did 3 today, right? You get yours at the end of the month, at the end of the year, your numbers, but it's like not really specific. So sometimes we hold on to weird little tasks just to show that we did something. Don't do that. What happens when you don't delegate, here's what your team members hear. You don't trust them. Okay? They don't have confidence in me. I can't fail. They don't believe in me. I think Annette's even said that to me. I got this, Kris. Okay, so what she's really saying is you don't believe in me. Yeah, busted. My bad, right? Management, okay, here's good ones. These last 3, listen carefully. Management has to sign off on everything. They won't allow me to make decisions. Too much red tape and bureaucracy. So, in full transparency, as I was writing this slide, those last 3, it dawned on me, I hear that from you guys about mothership. Oh my God, right? So I'm learning as I'm writing this slide that maybe I haven't delegated enough down to the branches, right? Because, yes, I'm like, Derek's like, yes, because really, I hear you guys tell me too much red tape, this, that, and the other thing. So I'm learning as well, right? So I commit to delegating more to the branches, Mr. Derek. Yay! Okay, let's get into the meat now. 5 delegation tactics. First one, you have to delegate early. It avoids that unnecessary pressure. It's not okay. This is not okay, to initially determine you're going to do this task, right? You're going to be the owner. Then you procrastinate. And then what do? Yep, I see some heads going, oh my God, freak out, Hail Mary, incoming to your teammate. You got to get it done, and you have 3 days to get it done, right? Ever do that? Don't do that. You're setting them up to fail. When it's a task, you decide right then if you're owning it or you're delegating it. Not fair to do it at the last minute, all right? And then select the right person. This is key. There's a saying, don't send your ducks to eagle school. You have to make sure to whomever you're delegating to has the right skill set, has the time and the resources to get it done. Why? You're a leader. You set your people up for success, okay? And delegate the entire task to one person. One person. Don't split it. Why? Oh, hold on. Yep, Derek?
One of the things I struggle with is people that, they should have the time, but like there's a person who's busy that is fresh and wants to be done with a busy person.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the question, and I'm repeating this because we're being recorded. So Derek's saying, gosh, I have a task. I want to delegate it to person B, and it's where it should live, but they're always so busy and overwhelmed. How do I deal with that? And they shouldn't be overwhelmed. So that is, whomever their leader is, that is the leader's responsibility to fix that problem. If Annette is too overwhelmed, it's either A, I'm giving her, sorry to pick on you, Annette, I'm giving her jobs that are not within her skill set, or I haven't set the right expectation for the amount of time jobs should take. You have to always look and check in with your people, and we're going to get to that. It's actually one of the steps. And you might have a duck in eagle school. That could be that as well. But the first thing you always want to do is check your own leadership around that and understand if you're giving the right task to the right person. Dave. Dave has a tactic for that. Oops. Everyone needs to hear it.
Have them bring their calendar to you, and you find the time for them to do it.
Okay. Can you
Like, what does your calendar look like? Yeah.
You can turn it off because you're gonna be my mic runner. Okay, so we're getting. Why do we want to delegate to the right person, like I just did to Dave? Like that. You're gonna be my mic runner. Yes. I'm gonna tell you a story. It's a story about 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry because it was everybody's job, and everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized everybody wouldn't do it, so everybody blamed somebody, and when nobody did what anybody could have done. That is your limerick for the day. Okay? Guys, I see this all the time. I'll give you an example in my world, and we're going to pick on underwriting for a second, because Annette so much loves this when I do this. Okay. It is a limerick, yes. So, when somebody knows, so for an example, an underwriter knows there's a pre-audit process that happens behind them. Do they feel 100% ownership about making sure that property address is correct in that? Whether it's true or not true, it's subliminal. When you know you have people sweeping up and cleaning up, you don't fully own the task. I'll give you my PSA around this, my public service announcement, okay? You're driving down the road, so think about this. You're driving, happened to all of us. You're driving, you're in traffic, and you see the stray dog. You see the stray cat, llama, whatever you're into. Animal lovers, my PSA, my time, I'm doing it. You're driving down the road, and you see it. And what are you going through your mind? Poor thing. Oh my God, it's starving. It's going to get hit. What do? There's so many people, somebody's going to stop. Nobody's stopping, guys, because everybody's thinking somebody's going to do it, and nobody's going to do it because anybody could have done it, but they didn't, right? Stop and fix the animal. Pick up the animal, save the animal. That's my PSA. Delegate to one person only, okay? It's very self-serving of me. All right. Third. Yes, John. Yes, please. It absolutely does. I love you, John Doble. Yes. So John has impeccable leadership skills and management skills. And what happens with that, how that translates, is I never hear from John. I actually had to seek him out and find him to give him a big hug because I literally haven't seen him in 2 years because his stuff doesn't blow up. His people stay with him. Okay? So do it right the first time, do it up front. That's what he's talking about. Thank you, John. Okay, so this, guys, this is a biggie. This is the meat and potatoes, and we're going to do a little table work where we're going to do a little conversation around this. Third tactic for effective delegation. You have to set clear goals, expectations, and discuss what the benefit is. The benefit in this order: to the organization, your team, and the individual. Now, when we talk about clear goals, I know you guys are thinking you're really clear, but I bet you're not, and we're going to find out in a minute. When I say clear, we're talking the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how. Okay? On your table, you're going to see a little delegation tactic sheet that I gave you. It's a checklist rimmed in bright green. You're going to use this as your cheat sheet. It's not in the book. It's on the table, Mr. Kammer, to your right on the table. Looks like that. Looks like that, guys. Okay. Do you guys think this is an effective delegation statement? Marcus, I need the February projections ASAP. Who can tell me what's wrong with that? Raise your hand. There's no time frame on it. Well, what about ASAP? What's wrong with that? Exactly. When you guys say underwriting, I need that decision ASAP, underwriter thinks, great, within my SLA. Cool. Gotta be clear. What else was wrong with it? Do we have the who? We had Marcus. Look at your checklist. Okay. Did we have the what? We had the projections. Did we have the when? Nope. Okay. Did we have the how? How is he going to get me the projections? Is he just going to call me? Is he going to, give me them in whatever that is, Morse code? Did we say the why? No, we didn't do that. Did we get clear buy-in? Here's the other tactic, right? Marcus, are there any roadblocks to you getting me? And Derek, this might be a good one for your prior issue you were talking about. I'm delegating a task to you. Are there any roadblocks to you being able to successfully complete that task? When they say no, there is power in them saying, no, there's no roadblocks, Kris, right? I can get you that, and it's going to be done. Do you have a clear understanding? Ask them to repeat back what you delegated to them. All right, who wants to, I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes, recraft that statement. The statement was, Marcus, I need the February projections ASAP. You guys get 2 minutes at your table, work in groups of 2, and then I'm going to call on you, and you're going to give me that statement back. That meets all of the effective delegation statements. Okay, go. 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Is that Michelle over there, Rodier? Oh, I'm going to give her credit for the slide.
The big roster, and it actually covers delegation. That's why I coach everybody on this. The daily team meeting.
Your team doesn't use it. I called.
We pull it out every day.
Okay, guys, come back to me. That was 2 minutes. Okay, guys, come back. Time's up. Who wants to recraft that statement? Who wants to volunteer? Not you, Annette. No. Who wants to volunteer? Recraft that. I will call on you. Yes, sir.
Okay, hey Marcus, I need the January projections by Thursday in the business via more detail because I have a meeting with Todd on Friday.
Okay, what do you guys think? Did you get the who? The what? The when? The why? The how? Excellent. What 2 things were missing? Roadblocks. Yes. So, go ahead and ask me. It is down there. Yep. Discussed any roadblocks to success and neutralized. That is right on the list. If you go by this effective checklist, right? We say we discuss any roadblocks to success and neutralize them. So sometimes when I'm delegating, I can over-delegate, just like I think some of you can over-delegate. It's not fair to set your employee or your team member up for success, so they're allowed to say to me, my roadblock to success is I have too much stuff on my plate. Then it's my job as a leader to decide what can I take off their plate to help them prioritize it, or help them with the skill set because they're taking too long to get it done, right? Did we gain commitment and understanding? You're right, Marcus isn't in the room. So the other step would be there is after you've neutralized any roadblocks, Marcus, what are you committing to? And Marcus, you have them say it back because again, when they say it back to you, just because you think you're clear, it doesn't mean you're clear. You already have an understanding and context of what you're delegating. I think sometimes we think that we're being condescending when we're so simple. People need it. They need that simplicity. I struggle with this. I think, oh my God, am I treating people like children when I'm super clear like that? It's necessary because just because I know what I'm talking about, trust me, half the time they don't know what I'm talking about because, again, I'm skipping some steps. All right, so that was step 3. That's that clear goals, expectations. Number 4 out of the 5 delegation tips, you guys have to measure the progress and provide feedback. So we're circling back to Derek here on his question about his team member who's struggling getting things done. Set up, if for larger delegation, For larger delegation projects, you need to set up regular update meetings. You have to provide feedback in those meetings. And if something's slipping during those meetings on their timelines, you have to brainstorm ideas to get them back on track. But whatever you do, don't take that project back, okay? This is a knee-jerk reaction that I've done in my career. And frankly, it's lazy leadership. It's lazy. You delegated it. I delegated something to Jana. She's struggling or flailing about. That would not happen, but yes, arms akimbo, flailing about. Okay? Yes, and I'm feeling pressured because I know it's due to Todd next week, and she's struggling. What do I want to do sometimes? Just take it back. Why? Back to the other issues, the excuses. I can do it better. I can do it faster. I have to succeed. Nope. It's lazy leadership. Don't take the project back. You work with them, make them understand it's their commitment to get that project done, okay? Yes, Derek. Uh-huh. Yes. 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 Yes, absolutely. And that's part of the, one of the mental roadblocks to delegating is, God forbid, they might fail and they might make me look bad and all of those things. But people are allowed to fail. It's how we learn. We've seen it foreshadowed. Todd talked great about the winter and all of those things. We have to allow some failure and we have to expect some pushback. My team, when I sit with them, we all have agreements and they bust me out. Trust me, they say, arbitrary date, Ringrose. Arbitrary date. That's what they do to me because I'm pushing them so hard, right? It's incumbent upon all of us. Okay, step 5. Last step, evaluate and recognize performance. I think we forget to do this a lot. Evaluate the results more than the methods. Do you care if they got there your way? I used to kind of care, but I don't really care anymore because I just care about the results, okay? The methods don't necessarily matter. Obviously, you have to be a good citizen, but other than that, the methods don't matter. Analyze why, if there was insufficient performance, and provide feedback. So again, here's part of lazy leadership. If you don't take the time to analyze the root cause of insufficient performance by your team member, how do you know it was their issue? It probably or might even have been your issue in how you delegated, right? You always, always, always want to look at yourself first. Yes. Okay. And then recognize success as soon as possible. We don't want to focus. Sometimes in our spirit of always pushing to get better, we focus on only what needs to get better, right? We have to give recognition, do it publicly, do it authentically, do it right away when people do a good job. They need it. We're all human beings. Okay, we're going to do some table work. You guys ready? Ready? Yeah. Ready. Goodness. Okay. Take everything you learned about delegation, use your cheat sheet. Yes, that Vanna White over here is showing you. Okay, and what I want you to do is break into groups of 2. Now here's the twist. One of you is the loan officer. One of you is a borrower. If you have an odd number, you can be in groups of 3. One of you is the loan officer. One of you is the borrower. I want the loan officer to effectively delegate 3 documents that borrower needs to bring you. Okay? 3 documents. Go. 3 minutes. What time do I have until the class is up? I forget the agenda. Oh, good. Okay. I'm good, thank you. Your hair looks amazing. Like it's low grade, so yeah, I was really worried. I thought I was going to throw up. It was horrible. I'm good, thanks. I'll take some after this class. I think when the adrenaline dumps is when it comes. Cue me when you see Annette on her phone when we're into accountability. Okay, guys, come back to me. All right, guys, you are the experts at this. You do it every day. All right, guys, we're back. So you guys do this every single day, you loan officers, right? You delegate to borrowers, right? I bet you probably didn't think of it in that way, but you are delegating to your borrowers. Let me hear from some borrowers. Who was a borrower? Okay. Doble, tell me, as the borrower, what you understood and what your job is. What did you commit to?
That I need to get W-2, bank statement, and pay stub to him by tomorrow in the business on my email again so that he can submit to the underwriter to finalize my loan or else he's not closing in time. And I had no issues in getting that done in cash.
And you said?
And I said no.
Excellent. So here's...
My feedback was,
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's right. Thank you. That's right. Yes. Thank you. Was just going to bust you on that. Todd.
Well, I just want to second that. Mark covered everything perfectly, but he did the same exact mistake.
Yes.
What bank statements? What W-2s? What,
Yep. And this is so yes, and that's part of that thing where we know the context. We're so deep in our loan, we know what we need. We're the loan officer. Duh. We're in 2018. Of course, we're going to need, 16 and 17. Your borrower doesn't know. You have to be crystal clear. Let me hear from another borrower. All right. Excellent. Microphone it up.
I've got a loud voice.
Okay.
So my loan officer was on point. He was very crystal clear about, I need all cases of the swap account. I need to buy the borrower at 5. Then he also had me track down my friend if he deserved it by the end of the process.
So he asked for a current client referral.
Right in front of the process.
Excellent. But you were supposed to bring in 3 documents. So were you just bringing in 1?
We did W-2s for 2017. We did the fourth quarter swap statement. And we did the pay stub from today.
And how were you supposed to bring them? Okay. And excellent. And were there any roadblocks? For example, the reason it's important to ask your borrower if there's any roadblocks, because sometimes there are craps in storage, right? And then you can say, oh, hey, but you have a CPA, right? Or you can help solve their problem. A lot of times the borrowers, as I understand this from all of my loan officer friends who tell me about the crazy borrowers, right? They have all kinds of roadblocks to success. It's just we don't ask them what they are, so we can't solve them for them. I want to hear from one more borrower. Okay. Nice. Very good. Excellent, excellent. Did you talk about roadblocks? Okay, so the roadblocks. So here's what we're learning is we need to be crystal clear, because what we have in our head doesn't always translate to our borrowers. Be crystal clear. Pretend, because they really are kidney gardeners in the loan business. They have no idea. You have to be super specific, set them up for success, right? And then also don't forget about those roadblocks. They always have one. Oh, whoops, they are going to Hawaii. You didn't ask them, right? Okay. Really good job, guys. Effective delegation. All right. So what's step 2 to delegation? All of this is fabulous. You delegate effectively. Wah, wah, wah. Let's talk about accountability. All right. But you really want to be liked. Okay. Do you guys remember Sally Field? And maybe you guys are too young. Sally Field, when she finally got her gosh dang Oscar, and her Oscar acceptance speech was, "You like me. You really like me." It was so pathetic. Seriously. I mean, I was happy for her, but it was so not cute. It was pathetic. Okay. This accountability, I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I remember thinking, wow. Okay, so accountability. What is accountability? This is a super pet peeve of mine. Okay, I'll tell you what it's not. Accountability is not simply taking the blame when you don't meet your commitment. It's not an apology tour. Apologies are great. Okay, it's not a confession, even though I have a confessional couch in my office, and we do the Hail Marys and all that stuff, okay? Accountability is about delivering on a commitment. This is a character issue, okay? Accountability is a commitment. It's a responsibility to an outcome, the full outcome, not just all the tasks along the way, but the whole outcome. It's literally my pet peeve when people think an apology is a get-out-of-jail-free card. You failed on your commitment. That's a character flaw, okay? Some apologies are great, but the guy hits his wife and buys flowers. Sorry. Okay, that's an extreme example, but they think they're being accountable, right? I went to the dark side. I don't know what's going on. What is happening? But it is literally a pet peeve. Apologies are great, and we want to own our mistakes, but that's not accountability. Accountability is meeting your commitments to yourself, to your team, to your company, to all the people in your life, okay? All right, and for effect, you all have a little gray disc on your table. Open it up. It's my parting gift to you. Okay. Okay, where does accountability start, guys? Yes. Okay, super cheesy. It's super cheesy, and I know, but accountability starts with you. Every single time something goes awry, okay? I want you guys to remember the mirror and even have it in your desk. Open it up, because the first person you need to look at yourself, Roger and Derek, you're not being accountable and holding your commitment to me. Thank you. The first thing you want to do when something goes awry is look at yourself. That's your job as the leader, because it all started with you. It starts and ends with you, okay? You guys need to own that and accept that, okay? It's a lot of power and responsibility. All right, so accountability, it starts with you. Leadership defines a culture, and if you want a culture of accountability, you have to be accountable. You have to model the behaviors you want to see in your team, okay? Let me just ask you this. If I show up late, what does that say to your team? Annette's going, what does this say if I just stroll in late to my team? What does my team think of me? Not only do I not respect your time, I'm disorganized. I don't meet my commitments. I expect more of them than I do of myself. I mean, it's a cluster, right? What example am I setting? If you're at home and you're, I don't know, whatever, you're setting a very poor example for your children by cussing your spouse out all the time. Whatever it is you're doing. I mean, that's literally, people are watching all of you. Todd always says, I can't fart or anyone's going to know about it, right? It's true. You are a leader. I don't think so. Okay? It's true. You as a leader have to understand that you are modeling behaviors, okay? You're modeling behaviors for everybody. At the end of the day, you have to think about it. Walk your talk. Otherwise, you're a big, fat liar. Walk your talk, okay? You, like Big Uncle Sam, you are accountable. As the leader, you're accountable for any and all failures that your team has. Trid, who was responsible? It wasn't Jana. who runs closing. It was Ringrose. That's my team. That was my issue, okay? You have to own every failure. It's not a one-time thing. It's an all-time thing. Accountability is all-time. Think of it as, it's not even a marathon because it doesn't end at 26.5 miles. It's an endurance run, right? It's an endurance run, and hail's going to come, and you're on mile 100, and then all of a sudden the sand, and you have to, like, it's in an all-time thing. Any slips and gaps in your accountability gives your team members or anybody who's watching that they can be accountable sometimes. Not all the time, because you're not accountable all the time, right? You're giving them permission to flake when you flake, all right? And you have to be seen as accountable at all times. All right. This is my favorite one. So accountability applies to one and all. You can't play favorites. Don't lie. You all have a favorite kid. I know you do. But you don't treat them like a favorite, right? You can't do that with your team members either. We have husband and wife teams. We have a lot of different ways our teams are structured. You cannot have favorites or show that you have favorites. Accountability is the same for everybody. Todd is very accountable. He holds himself accountable. He can't just sometimes hold himself accountable, because guess what? Ringrose is not going to be accountable all the time, right? That would be bad. Okay. And no, nice try, everybody. You cannot delegate accountability. I know you all are master delegators. You can't delegate it. Set people up to be successful when delegating to them by following those effective tactics that are on your handout. Nobody wants to accept accountability if a project is going to fail. So again, this accountability goes hand in hand with the delegation, okay? And ask them, again, don't forget to ask when you're delegating if they have everything they need to be successful. This is where you're going to learn a lot about your teammates, and you're going to give them the tools to be successful. There's so much power when someone says to you again, nope, Kris, I have everything I need to be successful. Camera, clarify. So Dave is saying that he delegated the job of his calendar to a team member, and the team member holds Dave accountable. But at the end of the day, who's accountable? Dave is accountable for everything. That's their task, and you hold them accountable to their task, but you're accountable for everything on that calendar. Yes. Okay. All right. What are some of the roadblocks, fun roadblocks to holding people accountable? I might be labeled a meanie. I'm pretty sure I'm labeled a meanie. That's okay, right? Get okay with it. Who cares? I'm pretty sure that. I don't want to be a micromanager, right? Holding people accountable is the exact opposite of micromanaging them. It's the exact opposite. When you're micromanaging, you're hand-wringing and you're all up in them, and because you don't trust them, that's what they hear, right? Holding them accountable says, I trusted you. You said you understood. You said there were no roadblocks, and now here we are. Let's unpack why we are where we are, and they're accountable, and they know it. They know it, okay? It's not micromanaging. What is equally important, what never works, these actions almost always reduce motivation and performance. As a leader, should you be questioning, pleading, or becoming overly directive? What happens with that? Directive's fine, but overly directive shows that you got yourself in a pickle. And when I say you got yourself in a pickle. Your realtors, think about it in that way. Your realtors get all freaked out, and what do they do to you? They get overly directive. They get nasty, right? They go, and then what do? You probably get a little overly directive with your team. And then your team, what do? They get a little overly directive with underwriting. Everybody gets all spazzed out. If you set up the appropriate milestones all along the way and set everybody up for success, everybody's clear, they know the milestones, they know where we are, it just relieves all of that. Getting angry and yelling. Now, we're all human beings and it happens, but is it productive? I mean, last time I checked, I'm not really motivated. I mean, don't really yell at me and stuff, because I wouldn't be really motivated by that, right? Good news, it doesn't really happen, but I wouldn't be motivated. Acting passively aggressively. This is my favorite one, right? This is so high school, right? This is awesome. So Annette comes in and she gives me something that's not the highest and best work and didn't meet what we agreed to. And I'm like, ugh, figures, nice, that's great, thanks a lot. Really? Is that good leadership? I mean, but I see it happen, this whole passive-aggressive thing. Come on, we're grown-ups, right? And just flailing your hands and getting all frustrated and pissed. That never happens. That's not holding people accountable. That's you freaking out as a leader and being, frankly, a baby, okay? And here, and the lack of a follow-up process, I want to talk about that for a little bit. The lack of a follow-up process, again, that's typically where the train leaves the tracks. The leader has so much going on, right, because we're so important, when really we delegated most of our stuff, that they get either lazy with accountability or they don't have a good method for understanding what they delegated and they forget, right? That is a problem. So we're going to talk about some of those strategies. Okay, let's get into the 3, because there's really only 3 productive processes for holding people accountable. The first one, clear expectations and measurements. That's more about delegation than accountability, but they go hand in hand, okay? So again, you have to be crystal clear. If you take nothing else away from this class, take away the effective delegation tips. Be crystal clear and follow up on all of those steps, okay? And if there's any slip, meaning if your team member that you delegated to or your borrower, if there's any slip in the milestones not met, brainstorm a solution with them and identify a fix and reschedule only if necessary. So remember Superman, you heard me talk about it. I flew around the country. I sat with 9 different LO teams. 4 of them were outside of Summit and the rest were inside of Summit. And the first thing we did when we sat down with the teams is we asked the LO team members, and they each were different roles, what are your top 3 jobs, and how do you know when you succeeded? Guess what happened? How many of those 9 understood, their team members, what their top 3 jobs were, but more importantly, how did they know when they're successful? In other words, how were they measured? How many of the 9 were crystal clear? 0. Now, okay, how many kind of had an idea? 2 out of 9 kind of had an idea. It was usually around the, I know-ish what my top 3 jobs are, but I have no idea when I know I'm successful at them because they're not measured, right? Okay, and then how many had no clue? That's the remainder 7. So let's be very clear on how success is measured. People can't know they're successful. They can't achieve without knowing what their measurement is. Okay? So for an example, if you effectively delegated your borrower, okay, because we learned how to do that today, what documents they need to provide, you covered all of the necessary steps, who, what, when, where, why, how, are there any roadblocks, read back to me so they had a clear understanding, and their consequence, you tell the borrower, hey, you know, this has to happen. The why is because we want to meet your close of escrow date. I heard a couple of you say that. And now they don't do it. What happens? Well, I'll tell you. So Josh Sigmund does this really, really well. So Josh Sigmund, he's at Legacy. He's part of the Superman team. And what I observed him do, and I observed it, is he treats his borrower, his realtor, and his team as sort of that trifecta of success. They are all involved and understand what the borrower has to bring in. After he gained commitment from the borrower about what they're bringing in, he lets the realtor know he's updating his realtor. So-and-so, Mr. Jones, committed to bringing in this document by blah, blah, blah. And guess what happens when that borrower doesn't do it? Makes that call a lot easier to that realtor because we all knew from the beginning it's the borrower who didn't meet the commitment. It wasn't Summit. Now, we're going to get on track and we're going to do what we have to do. But at the end of the day, everybody's really clear and you're just dealing in facts. You're not hiding about what happened, okay? Everybody's crystal clear. So keep everybody in the loop on that. Second step, clear feedback, okay? Honest, open feedback is critical to holding people accountable. Again, it's not your job to be popular. That's a side effect. Because I'll tell you what, when you hold people accountable, believe it or not, what that shows, yes, they respect you, but not only do they respect you, it shows that you give a you-know-what. I'm lazy if I don't hold my people accountable. It shows them I don't care. I don't care enough about them to go through all of these steps. But I do care, right? And I know you guys care, so don't be lazy about it. It offers the opportunity to provide support, praise, and encouragement, and it also lets them know as you're having these feedback conversations that they are accountable for their activities, right? People always should know where they stand. Have you ever given a performance review and the team member was shocked? That is your failure if that ever happened to you. Team members should never, ever be shocked. They should always know where they stand. Borrowers should always know where they stand. Realtors should always know where they stand. Should always know where the transaction stands. If you have clear expectations, capability, measurement, the feedback becomes fact-based. It's not emotional. It's just fact-based. The person either is delivering on their commitments or they're not. That's just a fact, right? The person's either working well with stakeholders or they're not. It's just a fact. Do they need to increase their skill set? That's just a fact, and that's okay. It's more important to be helpful to the success than to necessarily worry about being liked or being nice, okay? Now let's get down to it. The actual act of holding people accountable. You have to have clear consequences. We talked about the borrower didn't bring in their documents. The consequence is they might not meet their close of escrow date. That's a problem. They might pay per diems, right? Whatever that consequence is. Your team member doesn't meet their task, there has to be consequences. I'll give you a little story about this because it weighs heavy on my heart. I don't know if Annette will remember this, but you might remember, I think it was about 3 years ago. I think I'm trying to block out the date. But this was when we were super duper busy. Underwriters were working. They worked 21 weekends in a row to just try and keep up with 5-day turn times. Well, underwriters, it's an all for one. If they meet their turn times 95% of the time, there's a bonus for everybody. If they don't, nobody bonuses, okay? They worked 21 weekends in a row, gave up time with their family, 93 point something %. They met their turn times. What did I do? Did I pay the bonus? No. I felt like crap because it was my failure that I didn't staff appropriately, but I didn't pay the bonus. That would be a conflicting message, okay? You're accountable to meeting that. You have 3 choices, okay? You've delegated effectively and clearly. You can be reasonably sure that you did what was necessary to support your team member or your borrower's performance, right? You now have 3 choices. And you're 99% of the time going to do the first one because you're going to be so good at delegating. You're going to reward them because they are going to meet it in spades, okay? So reward them appropriately, whether it's acknowledgement. In my case, it was a bonus or not a bonus, whatever. Everybody likes to be acknowledged. And if you're delegating effectively, you're going to be rewarding most of the time. Now, your second choice, repeat the process. Repeat those effective delegation steps if you feel there was a lack of clarity in the process, and I'm being kind here, meaning you failed to follow the entire process, okay? That's your failure again. Repeat those steps. Look in the mirror. Understand that was your failure, okay? Or probably the 1% of the time, if you did everything right, you need to institute some consequences to the appropriate, whatever those appropriate consequences are to the failure, okay? They can be a verbal warning. They can be skill set development, an action plan. We put closers on action plans. We put underwriters on action plans, meaning we're invested. It was a failure, and the reason why, because we went through the reason why we failed and we were sure it wasn't our delegation, it's a skill set problem. Now they're on an action plan. It's their responsibility to get the skill set. It could be verbal warnings. It could be a job change. Maybe you have a duck in eagle school, whatever it is, but you have to administer the consequences. This is like the parent saying, I'm counting to 3. Do you ever see this in the grocery store? God, it pisses me off. That's why I don't have kids. I'm counting to 3. And then they get to 3. Nothing, I'm waiting, right? I'm over here waiting for the accountability train. Nothing's happening. And then it's 3.5. And then I'm like, okay, the kid, it's happening. They're lost. The kid is really ruling the parent. Good thing I don't have kids. Okay. Tips. Here's some tips to accountability. I would suggest that all of you take this with you. And there's also Michelle Rodier. So I want to give a shout out to her. She's responsible. She's our trainer. She was responsible for the cute limerick and responsible for some of this content. So I want to give you a shout out. Thank you so much. I would suggest a tip is you take this and you also take the blue sheet with the simple tactics for accountability, for culture of accountability. And I would say you go home and you discuss it with your team and that you post this, because here's what will happen. If you're lucky, here's what's happened to me. Guess what happens? My team holds me accountable to this. So they don't let me fail when I delegate to them, right? And so it's a win-win. They won't let me fail. They'll say, Kris, but you didn't ask me if I have roadblocks. I have roadblocks, right? And that's just going to make everybody win. Okay, home stretch. We're almost there. Last topic. We have 20 minutes, okay? You can hang with me for 20 minutes. 10. Last topic. Okay, leadership in general. I'm going to read some statements. Everybody take a deep breath, and all you have to do is just listen right now, and I want you to listen and think about what these statements have in common. Leadership is the willingness to put oneself at risk. Leadership is the passion to make a difference with others. Leadership is being dissatisfied with the current reality. Leadership is taking responsibility while others are making excuses. Leadership is seeing the possibilities in a situation while others are seeing the limitations. Leadership is the readiness to stand out in a crowd. Leadership is an open mind and an open heart. Leadership is the ability, this is my favorite, leadership is the ability to submerge your ego for the sake of what is best. Leadership is evoking in others the capacity to dream. Leadership's inspiring others with a vision of what they can contribute. Leadership is the power of one harnessing the power of many. Leadership is your heart speaking to the hearts of others. Leadership is the integration of heart, head, and soul. Leadership, my other favorite, leadership is the capacity to care and in caring to liberate the ideas, energy, and capacities of others. Leadership is the dream made reality, and leadership is above all courageous. What does that invoke in you? What are the commonalities in those statements? Anybody want to volunteer? When I was picking these out of a lot of different things I was reading in preparation for this, it really struck me because I thought leadership is influence. It is influence. It's all of these things. Does anybody have any ideas around what those commonalities are? Dave? Yes, it's absolutely, leadership is outwardly focused. It's focused on others. You're the leader, but you're focused on everybody else. What about the words? The words in there. There's a lot of feelings, right? There's a lot of, yes. Noble, it evokes emotions. That's exactly right. It refers to a state of being. I don't want to get all yoga esoteric on you guys, but it's a state of being, right? Lots of emotional words. It had heart, it had soul, it had dream, it had passion, possibilities, care, caring, courageous. Those are all feelings words, right? I won't go over these next slides in the spirit of time, but if you guys want any of this, yes, sir. Absolutely, and I can give you this whole PowerPoint if you just email me. Absolutely. Yes, email me, kringrose@summitfunding.net. I will give you this entire PowerPoint. The next slides are what are the differences between a boss and a leader, and we don't have to cover all of those, and it's essential to be both, right? Sometimes you have to be the boss, but there is a very distinct difference between being the boss and being the leader. And all you have to do and all you have to know about how good a leader is look at their team. Okay? That's all. If your team is struggling, you're struggling in your leadership. That's the truth. Okay? And in the interest of time, I want to just cover these last items. Toughest person to lead is who? Yes, ourselves. Do we know why? Because we're high Ds. I am a 99D. We don't see ourselves as we see others. The first person, this was the mirror, okay? I know it's cheesy. The first person you have to examine is yourself. And if you don't see yourself realistically, you're never going to be able to lead yourself effectively. This is why I hired a coach and paying a lot of money, okay? Because I think I'm self-evolved and I think I'm in touch with myself. Man, I am doing some hard work and learning some stuff. It's not always pretty. I'm in the really hard phase of it right now, but you really can't see yourself clearly. You have blind spots. We're harder on others than we are on ourselves. Okay? Harder on others than we are on ourselves. Do you ever catch people saying, oh, but I'm really harder on myself than I ever could be on anybody else? Baloney. Okay? We tend to judge others according to their actions. Annette? Okay. We tend to judge others according to their actions, but we judge ourselves according to our intentions. Is that really fair? That is not fair. We look at what other people do, but we think about how awesome our intentions were. That is not a fair measuring stick at all. Okay, are we over time? No. Okay, good. We have 6 minutes. Perfect. Here's some table work for you guys. I want to use our remaining time, one last exercise. I want you to take your parting gift, your mirrors, okay? So we're going to relax for a second. You got to do it. You got to do it. Take your mirrors. I want you to look at yourself. Take a deep breath. Try and see yourself realistically. It's hard. And I want you to write down three things you're going to change about your leadership based on what you've learned when you get back to your office. 3 things. Remember, the goal for today was 3 tactics. This is it, guys. 3 things you're going to change. You have 3 minutes. I didn't kick that out. I know. Is everybody about done? All right. That was about 2 minutes, but everyone's looking like they're done. Does anybody want to share? Yes, ma'am. Yep. Excellent, right? Because when you do that again, when you take it back, your team member thinks you don't want to invest in them, right? Yeah. Okay. Very good. Anybody else want to share? Yes. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. I'll send you the PowerPoint. Samantha.
I really love the roadblock perspective. This is what I assume about my team is that I know their workload better than they do sometimes, and empowering them to have a voice and tell me what they feel about their roadblocks.
I love that. That's awesome. Derek? Oh, yay. Okay, good. Time. 231 business days. I didn't count weekends, sir. I want you to enjoy yourself. What else did anybody else want to share? I'll call on you. Mr. Doble? Yeah, right? That's the hard, oh man, that's so hard. I know it's cheesy, but, as a leader, the first question you should ask yourself is, how did I play a part, or how could I have impacted the outcome? Every time, you got to do it. A loan doesn't close on time. The first thing we're asking ourselves is, how could we have impacted that outcome? Because everybody can have some impact, and it's really empowering when you're focused inwardly rather than outwardly, and sometimes it's hard, but you do learn a lot. You realize, oh gosh, okay, I probably could have done X, Y, or Z differently. Kirk, what about you? Love it. Yeah. I love it. And I'll tell you, it's the best thing that I did because I didn't realize, I thought I was awesome at delegation. These guys bust me out all the time because I'll forget a step. Like even in this class, I'm teaching the class, but I'm like, okay, do it when we're the roadblocks, right? That roadblocks. I have a roadblock about roadblocks. And by the way, you're not kind of late, just like you're not kind of pregnant. You are or you aren't on time. Just saying, okay? You guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.